Hello and welcome to Wine Country. It is a scorching August afternoon and you join us here for round 5 of BSR AMSOIL Truck Series Season 7 here at Sonoma Raceway for the 988 Suicide Awareness GP. Sonoma Raceway, a legendary road course on the NASCAR calendar, 2 miles of twists and turns, elevation change, 12 corners by some counts. We're not quite sure. But with those dips up and down the rolling hills of Sonoma County, it's going to be all about throttle management and being smooth on the exits to keep your tires alive on this scorching track surface. We are going to have a 75-minute timed race, and we are going to have stage points awarded after 20 minutes, but we will stay caution-free, so that leaves the tyre strategy and the fuel strategy wide open for this one. We're expecting a tank to be able to go about 35 laps, 45 minutes, but of course, it's going to come down to what the tyres can do and whether some drivers decide to go for a two-stop strategy to manage those good gears. Michael Kruger will top the timing sheets in practice, and as we go towards our qualifying session, I will introduce my commentator for tonight, Josh Coppenall. Welcome to the booth.
How's it going? Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. I love this track. I wish I was out there racing, but I think it might be a little bit safer for me to be in the booth here tonight.
Yeah, track temp through that practice session was 126 Fahrenheit. It's just jumped up to 127. In my numbers, that's 53 Celsius. And so it is going to be very difficult for these drivers to handle what's on offer today. We have a 10-minute qualifying session. We will follow with Michael Kruger, who's just come out on the outlap, and I think this is going to be a fantastic opportunity to get a really good view of what is possible in these cars for a qualifying lap. Yeah, and we saw how fast. And we know that basically he's one of the 3 drivers that we really have circled as our ringers to take home a good result in this race.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think right now qualifying, it's not open qualifying. So every driver is kind of on a track of their own right now with the same conditions and everything. So right now it's not about, you know, if somebody could screw up your lap. You know, that's not the case here. Right now it's all about you. You're the only one out there. And I think we're really going to see how these drivers can line up, what they can do, give us an early idea of who's the favorite here tonight.
And you see, just we only came through turn 2, but through turn 3 and down the hill to 3, I was thinking maybe 3rd gear, and still, as you drop down, the truck wants to come around on you, those rear tires struggling for grip, and they should come over that curve and really brush with the wall. This is maybe the trickiest road course on the entire calendar for NASCAR. You are barely full throttle for most of these laps, tiptoeing it through these curves, trying to take enough of the curb to sort of straight line as much as possible, but not unsettling the truck, and then as much of the power as you dare coming through this kink and towards this final carousel. We got to be super brave on the brakes. Michael Kruger with a pretty solid lap 1. We're thinking probably lap 1's where you can find the most pace out of the tires, but the banker lap will always be welcome to go all out on lap number 2. Where can the 41 put it? Coming across the line. And it'll be a 117.3 for Michael Kruger. It is provisional pole as the rest of the times come in. Cameron Caldwell goes to P2, but a second away. We'll see if we can track. Justin Maho's not out on track just yet. We will. Who do you want to follow on with for the next run through qualifying? I don't think we're expecting Michael to improve her. McGill with a great lap, actually, and Rivers Jones just behind.
I actually was going to say Austin J. McGill. I mean, McGill, he is a winner in Blazer Sim Racing AMSOIL Truck Series. I don't believe any wins have come on a road course, but I know he's won on road courses on JCTV before. I know he's really good at road courses, and I really think that he's one that is going to be a competitor for the win tonight.
God, that shot coming out of 4A, where the wall juts out. That is fantastic to watch these machines that, weigh what, about 3,000 pounds? Just weave so close to the concrete with so much bravery to know that it's going to stick. We'll see if McGill can find an improvement here on lap 2. Michael Truder was 7/10 down on his first lap, so we're maybe not too hopeful, but it's still good practice. Obviously, you can keep running out the stint to get a few more laps in and test out a tyre run for the start of the race. Because if you're going to have to take these tyres potentially 30 laps on the one stop, you're going to have to be as cautious as possible. Austin McGill only 2/10 off his first time, but obviously that'll be the run done, and clearing the jump just about with a 540 board slide or something.
Not sure who else.
Got William Kemp just setting up to start a lap, and actually Tristan Maher coming through turn number 4 and out lap. This is another driver we had circled, so let's see what the 17 Chevrolet can do in that JCTV truck to try and topple those times set by Kruger and Middle at the top of the board.
And I do believe Tristan Maher was second in the practice session. He's, of course, he is one that you never, ever can count out on the road courses. He's starting to shine himself here lately.
And is Tristan one of the drivers that we've also seen over in the Road and Plate series?
No.
Okay. I thought I recognized a name or two, but maybe not. But I mean, I'm still expecting a really solid lap. There would be time to reset and take a second attempt if there was an incident on this first lap. But I'm sure Tristan's looking to try and get it done. First time of asking, get up into third gear and really sit down as low as 4,000 RPM to just try and avoid getting that wheel spin from down the hill of 3A. And then drifting wide, and that might be the closest one yet to those tyres in that concrete wall. Get it hooked in and try and lay apex 7A so you can get this run down into the S's. If you're wondering why the corner numbers are like that, it's because the Marshall posts, which American corners are numbered after, snake through that long section that NASCAR ran for a few years and then saw the error of their ways and came back to this short layout with that fantastic short shoot between what is now turns 4 and 7. Just coming into this carousel, a little bit deep actually. That's going to cost him. He's going to try and focus on the exit to try and recover as much as that lap time as possible. But I think that might end up being the difference maker. Going to come across the stripe, and the lap time is going to be a 17.8. It'll put me to P5, but more than half a second off that lap time from Michael Truder. It looks like the 41 is looking like the pit for pole position right now. We will go to William Kemp, who's just on lap number 1, just a second or two up the road in that WeatherTech 09 machine. And this feels actually, it might be another outlap. He might have had an incident and is now setting up for a second attempt at this. There's 2 minutes 10, so there's just enough time, but it's going to be pretty close. We got quite a few cars further down not coming out for qualifying or not being able to complete their attempts. We do have some drivers with EOLs and a couple with drive-thrus as well to serve in this race. So we'll see how the field shuffles out as we get towards the rolling start. But then it's an unfortunate race to get a drive-through penalty to serve, because you know there won't be a caution to bail you out unless there is a really severe incident. on lap number 1 or something. We are scheduled to stay green even through that stage break with awards the points, but we will keep them racing and see what they decide to go for on strategy.
Tristan Maher crossed the line, did improve the time, but not the position.
I'm really impressed by that, to find more time on lap number 2. I know that obviously that carousel of turn 11 wasn't what he wanted on lap 1, but he just using up so much of the tyre for a qualifying push lap that I'm really impressed by Tristan finding that extra tenth of a second, putting himself within half a second off the pole sitter. And only 7 trucks able to be within 1 second of Michael Kruder's benchmark. This is gonna be a bit of a strung out race. This is the sort of track that really causes those really quick drivers to pull away from the field. They've just got so much more racetrack to make it work in, really, as William Kemp comes through these S's and towards the final sector. We're going to be looking to get lapping as we have 20 seconds left in the qualifying session. I think he will be our last driver to make an attempt at a lap here.
Gonna have time to get to the line?
That's a good question. I'd love that time is going to end up running out on William Kemp. I thought that it was going to work out a little bit differently, but clearly not. The checkered flag does fall in qualifying. And we will get towards our starting grid for tonight's race. On the pole position, it will be Michael Kruder in that number 41 truck, with Austin McGill for Golden Guardian Autosport alongside. On row number 2, we have Rivers Jones of Torrent Autosport and Stephen Maggio. And then on the 3rd row of our grid, Tristan Maher, a 117.7, and then Traver Burns in that number 02 truck. P7 would go to Alex Kerfman with P8, Jonathan Jerdens. By a lot of the heavy hitters so far this season, showing their skill even as we get to the right turns of the season. The rest of the top 10 will be Cameron Caldwell and Nathan Fuller.
Starting 11th, it's going to be Justin Rott. Cody McCorkle will start 12th. Alonso Chicano, 13th. Justin Rand qualified in the 14th position. Michael Walls, he qualified 15th with Levi Poland in 16th. 17th is Gabe Gazzola. Christopher Smeltzer in 18th. 19th, Jacob Locklear. And Brett Bennett qualifies in 20th.
To our drivers now without qualifying time set, it'll be David Durand and William Kempf on row number 11. Jonathan Canfield and Zachary Wareham on row 12. Andrew Davis and Justin Andrews on row 13. And Stephen Thornton will round out your 27 car field as we line up for the start of tonight's race.
Good to see 27 drivers out here. Kind of surprised.
Yeah,
that many people showed up.
Showing some bravery. Sometimes road courses can be the less attended races. We see a couple of trucks pull over to serve those EOL penalties that we mentioned. We're gonna have the grid sort of shuffling a little bit. I think Tristan Maher is one of those trucks that will fall back. Alex Kerfman behind as well. So just give them a little minute to get everything shuffled and in the right order. But of course, at the front of the field, it will be Michael Kruder and Austin McGill. And I'm really excited to see how they are going to open up this race. Again, with estimate of 59 laps for this race. We are expecting 35 laps on fuel, about 45 minutes. They will have 5 sets if they need them, but we're not expecting that, so it'll be, do you want to try and do 20 laps on tyres or 30? You'll get to the first stage without a stop regardless, and maybe the 2 stop we're able to push more in that opening 20 minutes and claim some of those extra points. But as we get into the race, do you want to start us off with some predictions here, Josh?
You mean like pick to win, or
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna go with McGill.
I think that's a very sensible guess. Starting on the outside pole, putting a really good qualifying time. I'm going to go with 18 Rivers Jones. He's impressed me a lot so far this season and hasn't quite had the opportunities to maybe finish out the races, but I think this could be one to make it happen. But as we come through the final corner, it will be Michael Kruger and Austin Medill leading the field to green, coming through into turn number 12. The throttle lights up and we are racing in wine country.
McGill's actually going to get back to the inside of Kruger, who's going to go wide.
And that is McGill to lead the field, making it through the first couple of corners in one piece so far. And everyone being nice and respectful. They know it's a long race with no caution to bail about. Michael Kruger's already looking to try and get that move back as they come down the hill towards turn 4A. But it will be Austin Medill right now with the lead of the race and able to defend into turn number 7. Though not for lack of trying from Michael, who is trying to find any gap possible here to start off the race.
Yeah, he wanted to be double wide through the S's here. He backed out of it, Kruger did. I think that's a smart decision. He's going to come up to turn 10, and I think 11 is going to be his best opportunity to set up a pass. Not close enough, though.
And Steven Maggio getting into the rear bumper of Michael Kruger a little bit, given the hurry up. I'm wondering whether the 41 is maybe trying to save those tires early. And obviously it's putting pressure on. We're seeing on the timing tower there a couple of the drivers being forced to take those drive-through penalties from the past couple of rounds. At the front of the field is going to be A-okay. We've got sort of a two-car breakaway here with the next 3 holding on decently for now. But it's Austin Medill and Michael Kruger, your 2 drivers who are already going wheel to wheel. But McGill managed to end off the opening volley after taking the lead through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, McGill, both these drivers are very solid, great drivers and incredible road course racers as well. And McGill, he's not been around as often. When he does show up, he is fast. As mentioned, started second as the lead and currently is fending off one of the best on the road courses here in the AMSOIL Truck Series.
As my commentator's curse started early, Rivers Jones now down 2% after maybe getting a slowdown coming through the S's there. Fell back and is now in the clutches of Jordensmeyer and Kerfen. Jordensmeyer up 2 spots from a 8th place starting position. We're just going to navigate through Alex Kerfen a little bit wide there, but he's going to hold on to it. Jump back to our battle for the lead and a little bit of airtime for Michael Kruger, trying to force 3A aggressively to set up into turn 4 here. They'll shoot a little bit wide and they are leaving nothing on the table through that exit.
No, they're not. And I think, the further up in the field, you're going to see drivers being more aggressive than those in the back of the field. And it's just the difference of who knows how to push the limits and gain so much time, and those that don't really want to risk it as much.
Measures did a great job of holding on to this top 2 as the rest of the field started to fall a little bit further back as we finish our 3rd lap of the race. Maggio really putting the pressure on Michael Kruger to try and get back up towards Austin Medill here as the gap stretched to just about 0.6 of a second now. coming through lap number 3. Lap times are pretty similar between the two. They are holding close, but right now McGill just seems to be benefiting a little bit from that clean track ahead. Just able to focus up, because actually we already have our first laps truck of the race with David Durand having to come in early for a little bit of service, or maybe serve one of those penalties.
Yeah, and David went to the pits. Pit road last time by. I'm not so sure why. He only had an EOL.
I only did a bit of damage and went to get that fixed potentially. Oh, and that's going to be from bad to worse for Durand. I think just trying to stay out of the way of those lead lap trucks, and ends up finding a much worse fate and might pull it straight back down pit road here. It's going to be one of those races of attrition for sure, especially for some drivers who maybe are not as familiar with the road courses. This is not a friendly road course to open up the season on. Watkins Glen, of course, comes later as our second and I believe final road course, and it's much easier to get a handle on compared to this place. Much less in the way of elevation change, a lot of higher speed corners where you can really just roll through them. Here you've got to really try and get the power down as quickly as possible, but a lot of them are coming downhill where the weight lifts off the tyres, and I think this is the comfiest seat in the house, is up here in the booth.
Yeah, I like I mentioned earlier, I really wish I was out on track racing with these guys, but personally, I think it's better off for me to be up here. Overall, road courses, I love them. Now, yes, I know my stats are pretty bad at road courses. I realize that, but it is all about staying consistent, not making mistakes. And as long as you can just, minimize the mistakes and capitalize on others' misfortunes, you are going to get a better finish. And that's what I like about the road course racing. That's what I have tried to adapt to, is not have speed, but just be consistent. And, I think that's what it's going to come down to for a lot of guys tonight.
Yeah, I think a lot of the field going to be focused on racing the track more than racing the trucks around them. Of course, at the front of the field, maybe a little bit more aggression dialing in, but a lot of it is just about keeping that rhythm lap after lap, keeping consistent, not pushing too hard. And there's something almost meditative about it when you are in a real flow state on a road course. You just stay locked in for lap after lap, and that's where you're going to find your best times ultimately in a combo like this, because you need all of your mental energy on what you're doing with the throttle to really make this happen. As we saw that move from Rivers Jones up 7A to get around Traber Burns, but this is definitely a train forming for these four trucks. As the top three pull away, we have McGill, Kruger, and Maggio. McGill, of course, racing for Golden Guardian Autosport, who are very much running this race with someone else in mind, Josh.
Yeah, we got news. One of their brothers is currently in the hospital with possible pneumonia, and wish him the best of luck. That was somebody that used to race on JCTV, Michael Thorpe Jr.
Everyone here at JCTV, of course, wishing the best and sending thoughts to Thorpe and everyone, his friends and family right now. Hope to see you back in action and healthy soon.
Yeah, hopefully it's over pretty quickly.
And Austin Medial putting on one hell of a tribute right now. It took the lead on that first lap and has not let Crew get back close to it. Still only half a second, the 41 doing a great job of holding on, but as these two start to pull away from the field, we are nearly 10 minutes into this race and halfway through that first stage as we have a couple more lap tricks to contend with. I believe that would be Stephen Thornton just going one lap down here.
Yeah, Thornton staying out of the way. These guys pulling far to the right.
This is going to be a huge factor in this race as well. We're going to stay green for, 50 plus laps. And with speed differential at track being maybe upwards of 3 seconds between some drivers, this is going to end up being a lot of traffic before too long. So it's going to be about how the leaders can navigate that sensibly, not lose too much time, but also keep themselves in one piece. I just came from a commentary of an endurance multi-class race, and the way the traffic get over there is really intense. But we might have a little bit of that flavour here as it's towards the end of the race, especially as the pit cycles start to happen and we get trucks that might be on fresh tyres catching trucks still out on older Goodyears.
We got a truck stopped in the S's. It is Brett Bennett.
As he's gotten
and
going
he's
again
not happy
here.
with somebody.
We will have a look at what it might have been, and ooh, off the rear end of the 84 of Jacob Locklear, it looks like. Just maybe not quite expecting the check up there through that corner. He's going to go around. I think maybe has gotten away without too much damage here. And will stay out on track, but has lost a good few position and, not to mention, put some heat into those tyres as we look back up the field. And yeah, 0.4 of a second now the gap. Cruder with a 19.0 last time out, which is a 4/10 gain. And these two are really keeping each other honest all the way through this opening stage now. We're predicting 57 laps, but of course it is a time certain race. 1 hour 15 minutes on offer for these drivers. We are just about 12 minutes into that and just over halfway through this opening stage.
Wow, drivers are spread out, of course, but Michael Wall's not too far ahead of Alonso Chicano. Wall's actually passed Chicano last lap. Chicano told him to go ahead and go on by.
And I think, aside from that battle for the lead, we are still just want to keep an eye on this battle at the fringe of the top 5. Rivers Jones starting to try and pull away from the cars behind, but we got Traver Burns, Jonathan Jerdensmeyer, and Alex Kerfman all nose to tail here coming through the S's. And they're going to try and navigate this. I think Jerdensmeyer, who's again up 2 positions already, might want to try and make it 3 around the 0-2, but any move that you try and make here, I think you've got to be committed with, and you've got to try and make it count, because you're going to use up tyre going for those late braking moves, and if you try and do that every lap, you're going to end up falling back to the cars behind you sooner rather than later. There is a lap truck there just shuffling out of the way. I believe that is Justin Andrews now going 1 lap down.
Yeah, it was Justin Andrews. Went all the way into the marbles to get out of the way of these guys. And I think just went off into the grass a little bit there through between 1 and 2.
A side-by-side battle here. Tristan Marr trying to cut back through the field after taking that EOL at the start of the race. And it'll be side-by-side through turn 1. The 17 will get the inside into 2, but Gabe Gisola's going to try and fight it around the outside. Has to slot back in. as the track falls away from him. Tristan now up to P13, down 8 from the starting, or from the qualifying position, but of course was as low as 24th at the start of the race. So great moves there from Tristan to cut back through the field here.
Another driver that has got a penalty. Cameron Caldwell, he's actually getting around Jacob Locklear right now. Locklear allowed him to pass. Caldwell is going to be up to P15 now as things stand.
Yeah, both those drivers actually took a pass-through penalty as well at the start of the race. So that's what's dropped them down to about 30 seconds off our leaders, but both of them making hard charges through the field here. And Caldwell up to P15 now.
Brett Bennett locked up going into turn 7? Towed to pit road and currently sitting in his pit stall.
Yeah, that this could potentially be later. And I know these tracks, it sometimes can be a matter of you rock up and you really want to try and give it your all, but if you've got to be feeling it that day to get any performance out of the truck. There's been times when I've rocked up for a road course race. I think actually here I've gone through practice and I'm just like, I don't have it right now. I need to get some rest instead. I'll let the pros handle this one. Jonathan Jones by still trying to find that move around the 0-2 of Traber Burns. Jonathan currently our lead Ford in the field right now. Got to keep an eye on the timer here. We are 16 minutes into this race, which means in just about 3 laps time, I think we will be awarding those stage points to our top 10 runners. And after that, I think right after that happens, that might be when we start to see some people who want to go for the 2-stop make their way down onto pit lane.
Going to be pretty interesting to see what kind of strategies get called here when that happens. One thing I do want to point out, though, you're talking about this battle between Jurgensmeyer and Burns. Trevor Burns, this is his home track. He loves this track a lot, and he's actually a real race car driver. He's raced at this track several times in person. And, you know, I think Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, he probably doesn't know this, but, you know, I think when he finds out, if he finds out, if he can hang toe-to-toe with Trevor Burns, it might make him feel pretty good about this.
Yeah, I mean, you heard me on commentary over Alton Park, which is my home track. You know these places like the back of your hand. Even in the sim, you'll just drive them for fun sometimes, just to see the sights and pick out those spots that you've seen in the real world. For Trey, we'll be even close to that, to picking out bumps on the road and apexes that he's flown through. And yeah, Jordan and I are doing a great job holding on to the back of the O2 right now. I'm just keeping Traber honest.
Yeah, it's been kind of fun to watch these guys. And Rivers Jones, I mean, not that far up the road either.
Yeah, I mean, he's been pulling away a little bit, but only by a couple of tenths per lap, really. It could all come back to play, and remember, tyre wear going to be a major factor here. Austin McGill with a 1.3 second lead right now over Michael Kruger. As they will come across the stripe, and I believe with the time that's going to be 2 to go in the stage. So he's hitting the line with about 125 on that clock. Could be off by a lap here, I'm sure. It'll come down to what gets picked up in the time restoring post-race. But again, there's 10 points on offer for finishing this in the lead, so it's going to be a bid for Austin McGill to make that happen, to make his way forward in this season standings.
Ross McGill, I don't think he really cares about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is his first race of the season, isn't it?
Oh, I'm not sure. I recognize the name, but it might just be from the Discord server. I know Michael Kruder's definitely be one who's looking for those points, and of course 10 down to 1, so it'll be 9 for the 41 as things stand. There's the 24 getting out of the way of this trailing pack as they come through. They close back onto Rivers Jones a little bit, maybe just a 121.1 last time by, so not the best lap for the number 18, and that is going to bring these trucks back in. Those gaps, it was 6/10 gained, but as we flick our focus forward to the top 3, they were in the 119s last time by and into the 120s a little bit. Austin McGill actually with a 119.4 last time by. That is a fantastic lap for 15-lap-old tyres on a track this hot. And looking to take that green and checkered flag to finish out the stage, and I'm sure hoping to take the black and white checkered as well at the end.
My skills wish they could see those kind of lap times here. But yeah, I mean, McGill, he's on cruise control right now, doing a good job. And you know, he's not really pulling away from Kruger. He's
might have been a mistake there, because Kruger's now back to about a second away.
Yeah, you know, I've noticed at times Kruger will kind of catch up, and then McGill will start pulling away again, and it's just kind of been the same thing happening this entire race. So right now drivers are asking about the caution, but realizing that we're not going to get one on the road course for the stage.
It was very much listed in the info for this race today,
yeah,
that we wouldn't have a caution. And I like it. I liked the experiment that NASCAR did last year to make that happen. I'm a little bit upset that they went back on that, but that is going to be how it is for this first stage. It will be points awarded to McGill, Kruger, Maggio, Jones, and Burns for your top 5, and then for the rest of the stage points, Jordensmeyer, that's Kerfen, Justin Rohr, Mika Walls, and Cody McCorkle. 10 drivers earning the stage points for today. As we stay green, that battle's still within a 10th of a second, and I am wondering in the next couple of laps who is going to make that turn onto pit lane to get a fresh set of Goodyear tyres on their trucks, because the lap time fourth we've seen has been about 2 seconds so far, and to make it on a one-stop they'd have to go another 10 or so laps on this same set of tyres before the pit stop.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't imagine that some of these drivers are going to want to stay out there much longer. Both McGill and Kruger elect to stay out. So far, everybody is.
I think you try and stay out at least a couple more laps, because we're not quite at the 25-minute mark. If you're going to choose it, you want to try and split the race into thirds, because just pitting early now is just going to make you have to run the tyres much older at the end of the race. And especially for trucks that have been sort of stuck in traffic, that can be a good chance to save a bit of tyre and to maybe make something happen so you can run longer now and have the fresh tyres at the end. McGill's just keeping Kruger at arm's reach. The gap's not ever really gotten above about 2 seconds, but it's not really fallen below 1 since McGill opened up that margin to begin with. And ultimately, we just want to, I think at this point, you're just trying to get through and see what Kruger's hand is on this strategy cycle.
Yeah, and then last time by, both drivers ran a 119.7. McGill a little bit better in the hundredths category.
So Tristan's out to P11 after taking that pass-through penalty on the start. Cutting through this traffic, Orange Con, the most recent one to be put behind the rear spoiler of number 17. but he's got 6 seconds now to Cody McCorkle. Quite a big gap to close. And so we'll see how much, or whether he's going to try and play some kind of strategy battle here.
Because Nola is towed to the pits. He had a big slide going up the big hill between turns 1 and 2. Didn't hit anything, but elected to tow back to pit road.
I don't think it's... Oh, here we go. Just loose coming through turn number 1. Has it back up, and I think it's one of those drivers who's maybe not particularly confident here and just decides, you know, I've given it a best shot. I'll see you all next week.
Sometimes it is so much easier to do that at road courses. You know, at least you came, get some points, and some drivers have dropped out as well. So, you know, you'll finish ahead of some of them.
This is now officially the 1/3 mark of the race. If drivers are betting on the 2-stop strategy, this is where they would make that move. No one's blinked in the top 10 so far. McGill and Cruder happy to keep this going out as the gap extends to 2.5 seconds now between those two. Justin Raw hunting down Alex Kerfen ahead, I believe. I don't think these two are teammates.
Who's that?
Raw and Kerfen.
No.
Okay.
Kerfan's on Radius, Raw is on GOAT or one of those affiliates.
Got it.
And Kerfan struggling to stay ahead of Rot. But so far, so good. Just for how much longer?
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much pressure either side of these two. And that's going to be the move, it looks like. Just wide through turn 10. And Justin Raw is going to go for the move on the inside and have control of the corner through the carousel section. And it will be the 76 up to P number 7.
Closest battle on track still really Jones, Burns, and Jurgensmeyer, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And kind of impressive to me that, you know, 125 degrees Fahrenheit track temps. You already know that the tires are going to get heated and worn out. And then as long as we have raced so far 21 laps, that they are still this close.
Yeah, it's really a testament to how consistent they've all been in this, and how close they've been, as Justin, the overlays catching us out a little bit. But yeah, they're gonna stay out this time by. I think the drivers maybe deciding that there's maybe a plateau in the tire life. They drop off very quickly from that window of being able to hit 118s, but they're settled in this sort of 120 range for a decent amount of time. So maybe taking the extra pit stop isn't worth it. You can keep the tires alive for the extra 10 laps and get us to the halfway mark, which we are approaching in the next few laps at this point. And it looks like most of the field is going to go for that one-stop strategy. So I'm surprised. I thought that some of the front runners maybe would, but the trucks further back would rather have the safety of the fresh tires. But it looks like everyone's going to try and make this one work.
I think if somebody had jumped, the rest of them would have, but nobody wanted to be the first.
Yeah, I mean that's always the tricky thing, because And fair, the other thing is, if you do end up making that call, what you are deciding is that you have to push for the rest of the race. Because the only way you make up that pit stop time loss is by throwing the truck around the track, using up all of those tires to find that additional lap time. And with how difficult this course is, putting that extra pressure on can just lead to more and more errors and really end up costing you bid time. So I think maybe sensible for some of these drivers. And actually, I do want to jump back into Tristan Ma, who has now actually made the move into the top 10, closed in that 6-second gap to Cody McCorkle, and made the move there in turn number 11. So a great recovery drive from the number 17. Cameron Calder's about 10 seconds further behind on the same course. I think the rest of the, I think the rest of the retirements might have actually been trucks that had penalties coming into this race, and were like, well, I'll make the start, I'll get them out of the way, and then I'll see if I'm having any luck here. Weren't able to make it happen. But further up the field, Michael Kruger has now fallen, is 4.5 seconds back from Oscar and had a big slide out of 11. I think Michael's really struggling with that tyre wear now, and we're really starting to see some fall off. A 121.2 last time by for Kruger. McGill somehow finds it a 19.7, and the number 43 truck really trying to put a charge on in this race, just finding so much consistency in those late stint tyres. I'm not sure how he's doing it, quite frankly.
He's an alien. I mean, I hated taking Austin McGill as my pick to win over my buddy and teammate Michael Kruger, but McGill, he's just, I don't know. I can't say enough about either one of those drivers and how good they are on road courses. They're both incredible talents. But yeah, 5.5 second lead right now for Austin McGill. That's pretty insane. And running the 119s.
Yeah, I mean, Kruger, of course, had the ultimate pace in qualifying. I think Kruger also just about has the fastest lap by 3/1000ths of a second. That will award, I believe, a point in the championship at the end of the race if McGill can't find that after the pit stop. But it looks like Austin's focused more on that long run pace, on keeping the tyres alive, and is somehow still dipping into the 119s when nobody else is able to do that. Kruger settles back in and does a 120.4, but that is still nowhere near what McGill managed last time by. We got maybe 3 or 4 more laps, and then the window is well and truly open to go to the end of the race. I mean, the window has opened now, but you want to try and split it in half to avoid running 32 lap old tyres at the end of the race. As bear in mind, the clock is still ticking along into the afternoon. We're talking 20 to 3 local time here in Sonoma. I don't think the track temp's going to cool down anytime soon, and as the track rubs in, it might actually end up increasing the tyre wear that we can expect out of this racetrack.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see the temperature going down anytime soon. These guys, they're going to have to deal with a handful the entire race. Trevor Berger's coming in pit road.
I saw, and it looks like the 0-2 is going to be the first one to bite here. After 25 laps, it's going to have to go about 31-32 to the end, so it's going to be suffering towards checkered flag, but of course, it's going to have the chance to make that undercut work, and he's going to try, I assume, to get the jump on Rivers Jones up to P4. We've got to assume 4 tyres here. I think you have to be kind of crazy to not take all 4.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure enough. He'll roll by. Just a little bit further down the track, we've got Alonso Chicano and Cameron Caldwell have just come down pit road to open up the race. The 12 is on the hunt here again to get around the 25, who of course Justin Maher already made the move on a few laps ago. But further ahead, Trevor Burns is out of pit lane on some fresh tyres and looking to set some fast laps here before Jones and Jerdensmeyer come down pit lane.
One thing to watch out for Trevor Burns is, those tires are cold. It's going to take a lap or so to build the temperature up for him to start, being able to use those fresh tires to his advantage. Just behind it is Caldwell and Chicano going at it through the S's.
Caldwell going to have to wait just a little bit longer here. Couldn't get the move through turn 7 and 8. Next chance is probably to get the run through 10 and send it into the carousel. And it looks like he's going to have a really good chance here. He's going to be alongside on entry. And I think, yeah, not going to fight that one from Alonso Chicano. Rest of the field stayed out. No one really blinking in response to Trevor Burns' pit call just yet. We've got Jerdensmeyer getting back onto the tail end of Rivers Jones. Austin Medill now with a 7.5 second lead as Kruger's really struggling on those worn out tires. Just trying to limp those two next couple of laps and get to pit lane. But not going to make the call. He's going to try and hang on to make the job easier at the checkered flag. But you can see how difficult the acceleration is coming out of turn 11 and through 12. Even sort of in the top of third gear, the rear end wants to come around on the truck, and he's going to have to tiptoe it around. And I think maybe this time by would be the correct time to make the call. We're expecting 57 laps. It could be 56. This is sort of getting towards the halfway point, and Kruger desperately needs 4 fresh good gears on that truck.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he is just kind of waiting as long as possible. We're almost halfway, so he might go ahead and take the opportunity now to do so, but I think it'll be either this time or next time.
Last time by Trevor Burns with an 18.4. That's his fastest lap of the race. That shows how powerful the undercut will be. But like I said, we'll have to pay the piper at the end. This is what Kruger's trying to avoid, trying to take the pain now and hold on to it. He's actually going to stay out for another lap here. Might have felt like he's weathered the storm. It's a 20.3 last time by. Sometimes just be like, you can chirp the tires a little bit and lose confidence. Stephen Maggio behind is going to make the call down on pit lane. So that might force Kruger in this time by, as the pit cycle really kicks off. Rivers Jones goes in as well. Jonathan Jerdensmeyer stays out for the extra lap, going for the overcut here. But it's going to be tough to make that work. Mika Walls on the back of I think just Matt's just gotten past Mika Walls here. And the number 7 actually pull into pit lane. 17 staying out for one more lap, but we are well and truly in the pit cycle now. It's Austin Medill and Michael Kruger still out on track, but Jerdensmeyer, the next truck to follow, a good 12 seconds behind both of them. Maho and Maggio, Maggio had come out of pit lane in P5 here. And I expect the 43 and 41 to peel off to the left-hand side this time by.
Nope.
No, wanting to clean air. That's aggressive from Medill, but his tyre wear has been really still able to set times in the 19s. Michael Kruger, not the case, is going to send this one through the entry. It's a really aggressive entry you've got to take here. You've got to practice that well, and that looks quick. That looked like he was maybe going a little bit too fast at the line. Do we know if there's a penalty there?
I'm not sure.
Maybe it's just the camera playing tricks me, but that looked really quick on the outside line through the hairpin.
The line is a
early.
little bit further than you would expect, compared to where the wall starts.
Yeah, I mean, it's after the corner, but it like he was accelerated
Yeah.
out of the hairpin and then past those yellow cones. But no, it is a legal entry, just very well optimized. I think you've got to give him credit for that. He'll slot out in P2 just ahead of his teammate Tristan Ma, who's yet to make that stop. Austin McGill, of course, stayed out this time by Stephen Maggio. Right on the back of Kruger now, just within a couple of seconds, as that is the 09 of William Kemp off the course there. Austin McGill stays out for a 31st lap on those tyres. And I've got to wonder how much this is going to actually pay off for him, because he is just bleeding time to the trucks behind now. Michael Kruger, of course, gap is 39.2. But that's just going to keep closing and closing and closing as he gets those good years up to temperature. It might just keep him at arm's length, but still, as we had an incident, it seems like.
My thoughts here are, obviously Kruger's going to be faster. McGill had a pretty decent gap between himself and Kruger that right now it doesn't matter how much Kruger uses his tires. McGill will get pressured tires, and then we'll have an even shorter distance, so he could be a little bit more aggressive than Kruger would be able to be.
Kruger nearly goes around through turn number 2 there. And that's gonna make this pay off a lot better for Austin McGill. Now Stephen Maggio, who's on 1 lap older tires, is right on the back of Kruger. We'll cut ahead, and it looks like McGill's still gonna stay out on track here. I think he's gonna try and run this tank out dry while he has that buffer and while he has a little bit of clean air. But Mika Walls, I believe, is just coming out of pit lane now. A couple of trucks coming out of pit lane. That's Tristan Maher just ahead of McGill as the leader. And so he's catching a little bit of traffic now, and this could be where he might regret not making that call down to pit lane. Back in the field, though, Michael Kruger and Stephen Maggio are nose to tail. And it's 6/10 of a second. And we saw the slide that Kruger had, but ultimately he does have the 1 lap pressure tyres if he can preserve them and get through this nervy opening phase of the stint. Gill now down about a second in this lap so far. I think getting tripped up a little bit by that traffic, or maybe just finally finding the limit of what those tyres can do. Kruger seems like he's pulling out a little bit more of a gap here again.
McGill is coming in this time.
And there we go, down onto pit lane to the cone. Nice and smooth on the entry. And Michael Kruger just getting through turn 7 now with Stephen Maggio in tow. We've got to imagine that this is not gonna bring Kruger out ahead, but how close can he get? Can he get close enough to put some pressure on McGill on those cold tires for the outlap?
McGill just got stopped.
Up on the jacks right now, taking those right side tires, then the left sides. Michael Kruger now just coming out through the hairpin. But McGill further up the road is now rolling and is going to get going about 5 seconds ahead and with much fresher tyres here. And that is the distance between McGill and Kruger. Oh, it has closed down that gap, but McGill's just now thinking he can pull that back out for the rest of the race.
And remember, McGill's tires are cold here, so it's going to take a moment to warm up. It won't take long, but it will take a moment that I think you're going to see the gap still kind of shrink between Kruger and McGill for the time being.
Alex Kerfen and Justin Roth were going side by side there through the start finish. It's going to be Alex Kerfen who gets the upper hand there as Jacob Locklear, the final truck, to come down to pit lane, going the same length of stint as Austin McGill. And with all those pit stops finished, it looks like everyone has been committed to that one-stop strategy, and pit lane might become a very quiet place for the rest of this one. Oh. Michael Truder, fastest lap. Last time by, a 1:18.2. Stephen Maggio also in an 18.2s. Does Austin McGill have a response to that on those fresher tyres?
Actually, the fastest lap went to Tristan Maher that last time by 1:17.6.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's just come through on my timing boards as well. That is an impressive lap from Tristan. We saw his pace through that first stint cutting through the field, but what a lap that is from the number 17 as we come across the line again. And it's another 17, a 17.8 this time. Tristan giving it absolutely everything to catch up to these trucks ahead. 7 seconds back from Justin Rourke right now. Dropped as low as 24th on that EOL start. And now back up to P9. A great result out of this one.
A great battle going on between Traver Burns and Rivers Jones. Burns is ahead of Jones right now. These two are just so close. Traver pulling away just a little bit there through the S's, but Jones is keeping him honest.
Yeah, remember, Burns has 3 lap older tyres here from being the first one to kick off that pit stop cycle. And for the rest of the race, he's going to be feeling that pressure from behind and feeling the pain in those rear tyres. Rivers Jones needs to try and be as patient as possible and wait for the opportunity to arrive rather than trying to force the issue and burn up his tyres to match. Not to mention Jordan Meyer behind to try and put pressure on both of them with 1 lap fresh tyres again in that F-150. All 3 manufacturers going to be lined up in this fight. Right now it's Chevrolet on top. Austin McGill last time by 17.781 has pulled 1.2 seconds on Kruger last time by, but still giving the fastest lap to Tristan Maher in the 17.6s. Rivers Jones have anything here? I'm not sure he does just yet, but there's 20 or so laps, so 28 minutes on the clock. Got plenty of time to make this happen. And actually, Burns does go wide. Jones sits up the inside and very nearly sends that 0-2 truck around.
Yeah, it was pretty close. He keyed up and apologized to Rivers Jones.
And I'm sure as we get towards the final couple of laps, we might start to see a little bit of contact made if there's some fights for position still on the line, but you don't want to do that with 20 laps to go because first of all, you could get into an incident, and second of all, you might give them a chance to try and get back at you, and that's never what you want, especially with Jordan Meyer so close behind looking to pick up scraps and anything that happens in this battle. They're going to catch up to David Durand, who's really just trying to clock laps and pick up as many spots as possible here. Has been a pretty kind lapper so far. And I think he's going to try and do the same thing for this group as they come through. Run all the way to the wall in the hairpin. Again, getting into the marbles, but ultimately not getting pushed out of the way by those 3 coming through the corner. Rivers Jones is still putting a lot of pressure here on Traver Burns, trying to force any error possible. I'll go onto the roof cam and see just how sketchy it is to try and follow this close. The O2's wide of the apex there through turn number 2, but the gap never really opens up. Just keeping the pressure on Jones getting right to the bumper, filling that mirror and letting Traver know that any mistake from here on out, and he'll be trying to take the opportunity here.
Jones is peeking. I just give him a little bump and say, hey, I'm here. I didn't really like that, but man, these guys are putting on a great show.
And I think the problem is, look how close Schurtensmeyer is now.
Yeah.
I think Jones doesn't really have the option to be that patient in this fight anymore, because the 0-0 wants by both of these trucks. But that little trip has given a gap to Traver Burns for the time being, and Jones is going to have to build this back up over the next lap or two.
Yeah, for sure. Burns, he wants to hold on to this. Again, it's his home track. He wants to finish the best he possibly can. But, you know, yeah, Jones, he knows Jurg is coming. And you can't let Jurg get into the picture while you're trying to battle with Burns.
No, absolutely not. It's going to be a slide from Rivers Jones, and I think maybe those rear tires are a little bit chirped from that moment in turn number 7. And it is going to be Jones on the defensive now, I think, for the next couple of laps, just trying to gather those back up. Cool them down so he can make another run at the 0-2 ahead of him. The gap between McGill and Crude is kind of stabilized, actually. It is still at 6.8 seconds. They're both made very consistent lap times. Maggio's fallen about 5 seconds back from Kruger on those slightly older tires. And this is, of course, our best battle on the track right now. 3 cars all going for 4th place here. Jones super tight over the curbs there. They're all within a second, but you can throw a blanket over these 3.
Yeah, you could. Very easily.
A little bit of a similar pack brewing for P7, 8, and 9 here. We were watching that battle between Kerfen and Rourke, both on the same age tyres and keeping each other very honest so far, but closing up to the back of that pack now, we see those 2 trucks ahead. Justin Maher continuing that charge through the field, got up to P9, now could have a good chance at P7, which might be all he can get out of this race with the top 6 being so competitive on pace. But we'll come back to that in a second, because Rivers Jones right on the rear bumper of Traver Burns once again, and maybe this time into the hairpin is when he's going to be able to make the move happen.
I think he's a little bit too far back. Not going to gain a ton in turn 10.
I think Jones might be good through turns 4 and 7.
Oh, man. Traver struggled under braking.
Jones isn't following that great through the S's, I think, is the main problem. He's giving Burns that gap again to defend that run through the carousel of turn 11. Now coming up through the hill. Burns is definitely a little bit out of shape. Jones is looking for every gap available. And Jurgensmeyer, I think, licking his chops, seeing these 2 dice ahead of him. Look to pick up pieces of whoever gets the advantage through here.
Seems like Burns is being a little bit conservative there in, I don't know, 4A. Welcome to NASCAR, guys, but no.
Oh, and a moment there for Rivers Jones. He's going to manage to keep it ahead of the 0-0 for now, but you've got to think that Jurgensmeyer's going to look for the move here into carousel. That's dropped them right back, and just a moment, I think, over the curb of turn 8. Jurgensmeyer's just a 10th or 2 back. Not going to quite be close enough to fire a move up the inside. Going to try and focus on the exit instead, but Jones doing a great job keeping that corner hooked up and defending to get back towards the 0-2 Traber Burns, but it's not going to be that easy, as we will quickly hop away from this fight to look at Tristan charge through the field. Further ahead, Raw and Kerfen are going to be fighting side by side nearly to come to the start-finish line, and once again Tristan going to try and pick up the pieces, but this time I think he'll be more likely to force the issue. He knows he has the pace on both of these trucks. He's caught up to them over the past few laps. He just needs to work out where to set the move up, and maybe the lesson learned here can be used by Jordensmeyer to clear the 2 on old tyres ahead of him. He's not going to quite have it in turn number 4, but I think you really try to set up the exit here to go for a dive in 7 if you can. Rourke's going to leave it a bit now to not let it happen. I think maybe still a bit focused on Kerfen ahead. And this can be tricky as the third truck in line. Sometimes the second truck or the second car will go for look to the inside and sort of cut your nose off while going for an overtake of their own. So Tristan's got to watch out for that and make sure he doesn't get caught out by that. Gets to the inside first if he wants that line. And there you see Justin Rourke goes to the inside. They're going to be side by side through. Actually, there's contact there. Justin goes a little bit wide. Alex Kerfen's going to gather it back up. Justin Mar's going to try and fight this one now through turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, Kerfen going to try and get back through both of these cars, because as much as Tristan wasn't the one who put him back there, he's in the way of him getting to the truck that did.
Yeah, and you know, talking about times when people can pass, this track really only has 3 passing opportunities, and that's 4, which was the last corner, and then 7, which is the corner they're in right here, and turn 11, which is big hairpin.
And I think even for turn 4, you're probably better off trying to set up into 7 instead. It is a much tighter radius to go into.
Yeah, it's possible to pass there, but I think it is better as a setup corner. Other than that, it's a struggle, and you know, I think Rott realized that last lap. He took such a big approach, knowing that Maher's right there. He wanted to get ahead of Kerfen as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so difficult being the third in line there, because they are battling with each other for their positions. You really want to try and pick one off as quickly as possible, and that contact in the hairpin gave Tristan the opportunity, which in that spot you've got to take with both hands immediately. It's now just a one-on-one with Justin ahead, who goes wide, and this is going to be a move in turn 4. You've got to take that opportunity when it comes. I think Justin maybe knows that he's a little bit cut there. He's maybe going to try and go for the move back in 7, but I think Alex Kerfen might have things to say about that. Has to go defensive instead. And as Tristan gets clear, these two are going to continue fighting behind, and I think at this point Alex Kerfen might not be afraid to use the bumper a little bit more than he would have done earlier in the race.
Yeah, we're getting down to it. You know, positions are going to be even harder to get at this point on, as we're looking at 17 minutes on the dot left in this race.
Justin Rourke actually able to pull a good exit through the hairpin though, and they're going to string out a little bit here. We'll keep one eye on this fight. I don't think this one's quite over between these two especially. But of course, this battle for P4 has not changed one bit in the past 2 laps either. Still those same tire deltas, still pressure ebbing and flowing between all 3 of these trucks. But I think right now Jones might be the one struggling a little bit more on those tires after going for the aggression towards Traber Burns. And Jordan Smyer's going to be the one to try and set this move up now, if he can get a good run through this corner. And there's a big slide from Rivers Jones. I think that is going to be the move. As Jordan Smyer gets to the inside, gets clear, and able to get it stopped. And now it's going to be about charging towards Trevor Burns and going for P4 here. It's just about waiting for that mistake. It's sometimes the easiest way to do it is just keep that pressure on the rear bumper and wait for the person ahead to crack.
Yeah. Unfortunate there for Rivers Jones, but Jurgensmeyer has been doing a great job staying patient. And kind of like I talked about earlier, kind of my strategy going into these races. Minimize mistakes, capitalize on others. Of course, Jurgensmeyer has the fast part down too. I don't, but that's exactly like what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, and in a race that's over an hour, in trucks that are so hard to control, you're going to get those mistakes sooner or later. It's impossible to not have at least a couple of moments where you run wide or maybe even have a big half spin that you've got to try and gather up. It's about trying to do that as little as possible to keep the tyres clean and keep them as much grip in them as possible. Rivers Jones, I think, maybe just losing a little bit too much at this point of the stint, and it'll be Jurgensmeyer who is now at task, catching up and passing Burns, whose tyres are 4 laps older after making that early pit stop.
Jurgensmeyer, he is doing a great job staying consistent and closing in on Trevor Burns. It's a 119.7 to a 126 for these people. These two drivers. See just how much of a difference that is making. Jerk taking a peek to the inside and didn't stay committed to it. Jerk actually blinking a little bit here. And these three drivers now stacked up once again. Burns, Jurgensmeyer, and Jones. Great move off turn 12 if you want to count it. Now heading into turn 1 side by side as the two drivers. Going up the hill.
I can't believe he's made that one work. He's gotten to the outside of 2 and managed to clear as we up to P4 now. As I mean, what a fantastic. I'm surprised that you managed to get that tucked in through turns 12 and 1 without getting a big hit into the wall there. Such a narrow gap to shoot, but doing a great job. And that is Jurgensmeyer up into P4 now. Now it's really up to Trevor Burns to defend from Rivers Jones, which he's done a good job of, to be fair, in the previous laps of the race. But this is the point where those tyres are really going to start falling off. It's going to become more difficult than ever as we cut through some lap traffic here. And Burns is going on the inside of Jurgensmeyer, actually. It's going to be a little tap there. Jurgensmeyer's going to hold the outside, but they're going to be side by side once again as a little bit of a wobble on exit. Jurgensmeyer gets the throttle down and Jones has to slot in. But we are hitting that real traffic phase of the race as well. That's Nathan Fuller, 3 laps down in P16. It's the next one for these trucks to deal with. Justin Ma's done a great job pulling away from Justin Rourke there, and that path P7 has mostly resolved itself. But 10 to go. The battle between P4 and P6 is still wide open. There's a little bit of a wobble there from Rivers Jones coming out of turn number 3.
These guys are incredible. I love it. I don't know. I think Jurgensmeyer might just pull away. The battle might be between Burns and Jones.
I mean, it's good to say so. I thought that was the case, and then Burns sent one up the inside of the of turn 11, and really reeled Jurgensmeyer back in. I think at this point he might be a little bit too far back, and the double zero can Photon pull it away. But Traber's giving it absolutely everything. Do we have incident limits in effect on road courses here? Because Traber's seen a fair bit of that gravel so far in this race.
Yes, I do believe that incident limits are in play, which, remember, it is 17x. It's a drive-through. 25 is a disqualification. I can tell you, Traber is all right with his incident points. He's got 7 as things stand.
Okay. Maybe looking to use a couple of them up now, trying to force that move back around Jurgensmeyer, or I think at this point maybe just defend from the back of Rivers Jones as the double zero gets around Nathan Fuller here, and Traber Burns is not going to wait around for a second longer. Neither is Rivers Jones, who's going to try and cut through, but isn't going to quite make it work. And it's very difficult for a truck to get out of the way through the S's here, so he's going to have to stay behind Nathan, but I'm sure going to be waiting for the next available opportunity. And there goes Rivers Jones through. It's just giving that little bit of a gap now for Burns to breathe for a little bit.
I hate being a lap car, or in this case, truck, going through the S's. And Nathan Fuller there, great move on him to get out of the way as soon as he possibly could. Still, where he got over is still not a great area, but I think it's the safest in the S's, and I would have done nothing different. Yes, I would have done nothing different myself there.
I'm sure none of these trucks are going to have any hard feelings towards Fuller. It's very much just a... I think there was a bit of an acknowledgement in road course races in sort of oval-centric leagues where everyone's out there just doing their best. And I think drivers are willing to take that as an apology a lot more readily because they know how difficult it is for themselves, and everyone's having to wrangle with these really heavy, really, high torque machines around a course that's really designed for and has a lot of GT racing, open wheel racing more than anything else.
Yeah, this track, it is so hard with stock cars. I think you mentioned that earlier. I don't know if I've ever raced trucks at this track before. I know I have a blast when it comes to driving the cup cars around here when the officials make it around here, but still, it is such a challenge.
I'll tell you what the most difficult race, one of the most difficult races I've ever had in iRacing was, and it was at this track driving a Gen 4 car.
Oh man, yes.
And that's the sort of fake Gen 4. We don't quite have the real one yet. I think we're hoping for that maybe this season. But with it being based off that 2010 Nationwide chassis, one factory has got a shorter wheelbase than the real-life Gen 4 cars of the era did. And a short wheelbase means that the truck is going to be a lot less stable through the corners, and you're really fighting for your life the whole way around this track.
Yes.
You got way too much power on way too small of a chassis.
I think I have attempted a couple laps. I don't know if it was a race, but I have attempted a couple laps at this track with the Gen 4, and that was it. Just a couple laps. Enough for me.
I can't remember where I finished in that race, but I remember that I did finish, and honestly, that was enough for me.
Yeah.
Labia London Chicano getting out of the way of these trucks as they're cut the way through. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer doing a great job absorbing that pressure. Austin McGill with a 10-second lead now. Actually, Cruder's done a good job in this stint of holding Austin close, but again, we're hitting that phase where the 43's still managing to set 119s, and no one else is able to find that pace. So Kuda's just going to fall a little bit back, but has done enough to give a 10-second gap to Steven Maggio. And I think his managed to tires a bit better in this second stint than he did in the first one.
Yeah, I still don't know where McGill is getting all that speed from. But talking about Kruger, he has improved a little bit. It's kind of too little too late at this point. But still doing a great job. Actually, 2/10 quicker than race leader Austin McGill that last time by.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't know if having this sort of stint in the first run would have been enough for Kuda, because McGill still pulled away quite a big gap here. I think the 43, just the class of the field here today, there's not really much more to say about it, but Kuda's tyre preservation in this second set and just getting as far through the race as he did on the first set, despite the issues, helping him to pull away from Maggio after the pit stop. And yeah, he's got 10 seconds either side. He's just got to make it through about 5 more laps of this track as we are into the final 5 minutes on the clock. In fact, we will quickly grab Austin McGill, who's coming through carousel. We're going to hit the timing line. It's going to be just over 4 minutes to go, so we will have 4 laps left in this race. 8 miles of action here at Sonoma Raceway. And it's Austin McGill leading by 10.8 seconds right now.
Absolutely insanity.
Just control. There's a term in sort of Formula One of a grand slam, which is you put it on pole, you lead every lap, you set the fastest lap, and never mind that, there's contact there for P5. I'll get back to that point in a minute. Rivers Jones sending it into the carousel there. They are again taking the 4 laps to go mark, and clearly 18 does not want to let the 0-2 run away with this. He knows he has the fresher tires than Traber does, and he's going to start to use every trick in the book to make this one happen. Just within about 0.3 of a second. Maybe has an opportunity here down into turn 4, or maybe turn number 7 here. But the Grand Slam, you lead every lap, which is what McGill has down pat here. You, of course, win the race. All he's missing is the pole position and the fastest lap, but both of those he missed by just 1/10 of a second or 2. It's really been a fantastic show from start to finish for the 43.
Yeah, I was able to get the lead immediately as well.
There's carrying speed around the outside that switches to the inside for turn number 2. We often see in the choosers in the NASCAR Cup Series that the outside line could be a preferred line on a restart if you think you can stick it around. As there's a half spin from Burns, and Jones is going to almost turn it into a full spin to knock him back in the right direction. But I think, yeah, Jones is going to clear there. I think a little bit of that was maybe Burns could have been more aggressive, but also was like, no, that was my mistake. I did sort of leave the door open. A little bit of a nudge and a barge for both trucks, but ultimately nothing intentional, nothing to really even try and get them out of the way, just to get through the corner in one piece. And I'm sure Burns is still looking to try and get the move back here. And he's going to go deep into turn 4 to try and get a little bit of the bumper, but can't quite make it stick. And he's going to actually, I think that goose is cooked on the tires, on the tire front. And Burns has to just gather it back up and bring this truck home for
Jones slid a little bit there.
Yeah, but Traber slid a lot more.
Yeah. But I will say both drivers keyed up and expressed how fun that was to battle.
Oh, I mean, they've been able to show all race these two, as well as, of course, Jordensmeyer, who has managed to put these two further behind now. It's been fantastic to watch, and Trevor Burns isn't quite done yet. I'm sure Nathan Fuller enjoying the best seat in the house right now, watching these two go at it.
Yeah, about a couple laps ago, Fuller even keyed up and said, "Don't worry about me. I'm just enjoying the show."
And how often do you get to see a race at
Wait a
this
minute,
close
wait a
quarters?
minute. Something is going on with Kruger. He is off the pace. He has so much damage.
Has he lost visuals or something? Let me reading back to the replay here. As oh, and he's hit the wall hard coming through here. Let's get the onboard camera, and that, I think we're on the white flag lap here. I think at this point he caught he caught the barrels in the inside of turn 11. He gets onto the brakes, gets turned in, and it's just this middle set of barrels. Tries to cut the corner a little too much. No, it's this one. And I think that knocked the right front wheel completely out. Michael Kruger, our pole sitter, was having a fantastic run in second place, but I think he's going to have to park this car and yeah, he's going to tow back to pit lane. That's going to be his day done. I mean, so that's going to promote Jordensmeyer up into the podium positions, but let's bring our focus back forward to Austin McGill. Running through turns 10 and 11 for the final time. Now has a 23-second lead. But even before he had this race under control by 10 plus seconds, Austin McGill took the lead in turn number 1, has led every lap since. Took the stage win, takes the race win. And he's going to roll it past the flag stand for a checkered flag here in wine country. Steven Maggio will cross the line second here. Jonathan Jordensmeyer will take home a podium. And for the rest of the top 5, does Trevor Burns have any response to Rivers Jones' one last shot up the inside to try and take this position back? I think he might be a little bit too far back. I think even he knows that it'd be a bit too aggressive to try and make that move happen. So it will be Rivers Jones coming across the line P4 and Trevor Burns P5. Tristan Maher, after taking that pass-through penalty, just a few seconds behind and celebrating a well-earned P6 finish.
Yeah, obviously not the start he wanted for his race, but P6, it's pretty incredible for Maher to recover too.
Yeah, no, a fantastic drive from there. We shot a few more trucks coming across the line here. That's we had 9 or maybe 10 just about finishing on that lead lap. And as the race comes to a close, let's take a look at there we go. That's official checkered flag. And let's bring up our race results from this one. Austin McGill with a fantastic race win there. 24 seconds the gap over Steven Maggio in the 51, who started from position number 3 on the grid. Jonathan Jordensmeyer up 5 spots to finish on the podium, with Rivers Jones and Trevor Burns giving us a show all night long. They will come home in 4th and 5th respectively. Tristan Maher serving that pass-through penalty ends up coming across the line P6 ahead of Justin Raw, Alex Kerfin and Mika Walls. Our final of 9 trucks on the lead lap with Cameron Caldwell. Another one of those trucks having to take the early penalty, going to finish in the top 10. Cody McCorkle and Alonso Chicano will be 11th and 12th for your race tonight. Justin Duran finished in P13 ahead of Michael Kruger with a heartbreaking finish after winning 2nd place for the majority of tonight's events. Damage in turn 11, bringing his day to a early end. Just with his head of Jacob Locklear and Nathan Fuller, who finished 3 laps down and enjoyed that battle that we saw of P4 to the very end. Jonathan Canfield will finish 5 laps down, and then we've got David Duran Jr., Christopher Smeltzer, William Kemp, Gabe Tazzola, Zachary Wareham, Stephen Thornton, Justin Andrews, Levi Paul, and Brett Bennett, Andrew Davis. A lot of retirements from this race. It's always a tricky thing to deal with. But great work from all of the drivers who tackled this one. It takes a lot of bravery to make that work.
Yeah.
And it looks like, do you want to take this interview here with our race winner, Joshua?
Yeah, sure.
Got Austin McGill on the line, your race winner here at Sonoma.
Hey, Austin McGill. How about that race win?
Yeah, really enjoyed that. I've got nothing else to say.
Well, you and Michael Kruger both started on the front row. Michael Kruger, he's my buddy, my teammate, and one I knew was going to be a one to watch out for in this race.
Sorry,
But
Discord issues.
That's all right.
Do you mind repeating the question?
So I was just saying, you started on the front row with Michael Kruger, one of my buddies. Let's see. Are you good now? All right.
Good. Thank you.
Not a problem. So, I was just saying, you started on the front row with one of my buddies, my teammates, Michael Kruger, someone I know is very strong on road courses, and a threat. I also know you are a threat when it comes to road courses, and you've got a pretty good stats in this league as well. You ultimately were my pick to win, by the way. What was it like, just kind of coming in here, knowing the threats of who you have to watch out for, and starting on the front row, but leading every lap?
Well, I'm flattered. I was your pick to win, but I know there's a lot of quick guys in this league. I know most of them, or maybe not most of them, but I know quite a few people maybe didn't show because it's a road course and not everybody's a fan of road courses, but I know guys like Kruger and Maher and other guys are obviously quick and they have pace. So kind of just tried to run my own race, try to keep it clean for the most part, and yeah, I guess it just worked out.
Well, you come here after, I'm pretty sure this is your first start of the season. You come here after the season starts to race this race, and you also were doing so with your team, GGA. Heard some news from that camp earlier. So what was it like racing for Thorpe?
Yeah, big deal, obviously. I was really pushing to win this race because I wanted to do it for him. Terrible news. It's from what's happening to him. This is actually the second time that he was in the hospital. He got discharged the last time, and yeah, it means a lot. So I'm glad I was able to bring it home for him.
All right. Well, sponsors, shout outs. Who gets it done for you?
I'm just gonna shout out GGA that was in this race. Zach, I know he DNF'd early on, but Canfield, Jacob Locklear for being in the chat with me. Obviously you guys, you and Olivia for putting on a good broadcast like always, and again, wishing a speedy recovery for teammate Michael Thorpe.
All right. Well, congrats on the win, and we'll let you go celebrate.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was race winner Austin J. McGill racing for Michael Thorpe Jr. And again, we do wish him a very speedy recovery, and hope everything goes well for him and rest of the Thorpe family.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to second that. I wishing them all the best right now, and over the coming days. Let's pull in our second place finisher in this one, Stephen Maggio. A lot of interesting stuff going on there at the start of the race, but Stephen, at the end of it all, it's going to be a second place finish. Welcome to the booth.
Hello, thank you guys.
So that was a really, really intense fight sort of through the opening half of that race you had with McGill and Kruger, as well as the couple of trucks behind. One thing we were wondering early on was about strategy and maybe if some trucks were going to go for the two-stop to try and manage those tyres. Was that ever on the card for you, or you commit to that one stop from the very drop of the green flag?
I wouldn't say I was fully committed. I think I was leaning towards the one stop. I was kind of hoping the other two were going to go for the two stop because I thought it was a little slower, but I was just going to play it by ear. If I was leading, I was just going to follow whoever was in second, and if I was in second, I was just going to go opposite leader, but it didn't matter. They were so far ahead of me. And then, yeah, I kind of just sat the whole race in third. It was really boring. Kind of just a frustrating weekend all around. It didn't really get to battle anyone this race, and I never really had a shot at the top two. I just felt like I was at a disadvantage because certain people get the lobby settings before everyone else and can't really do anything about that. So I'm pretty frustrated this week, to be honest. And yeah, I didn't have anything for the top two, and then Kruger, I guess, hit the tire barrels with like 2 to go and a 10-second lead on me. So I feel bad for him. I don't really know why he was pushing so hard though. And Austin was really really fast. He didn't make a mistake all race. I mean, he wins by 24 seconds. I guess second was what I was going for today because I have nothing for that. And that's about it.
Well, it was a really strong, consistent showing from you as well. Of course, we are looking at next week going back to the ovals for New Hampshire for the start of the mid-season bracket. How are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I've only raced New Hampshire one time, and it was in the next gen. So I don't know. I didn't hate it. We'll see how it goes. Just gonna. I'm not really leaning one way or another. Like I'm not confident I'm gonna win. I'm not confident I'm gonna lose. I'm just gonna go in there and see how it goes.
Sounds like a plan. Well, of course, one more thing to say. Any shout outs, any sponsors, any thank yous? The floor is yours. Congratulations on a second place finish here tonight.
Thank you. Shout out my team. Go Inc. Got Justin, Jonathan, Rivers, Gabe, Micah. Might be forgetting people. Andrew. Shout out to you guys in the booth. And shout out Austin on a good win. I mean, just took the field on a dog walk. So thank you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you for joining us. And Josh, I think I will hand you over to our third place finisher in tonight's race, who had a lot to fight through in this one. It'll be Jonathan Jerdensmeyer in the 00.
And Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, a third place finish here tonight. Was a pretty fun battle between you and Trevor Burns for most of the race. Just walk us through how it went for you.
It was a pretty good time. I started pretty well, not deep in the field compared to like Tristan, but I started probably about 8th or 9th, and then I had a nice start. Got by Justin, got by Perfan, and kind of just chilled behind Schraber and Rivers the entire run. I didn't really feel like battling them that hard that early in the race, and then I just pit later than them and had better tires. When I caught them at the end of the race, I wanted to try and let Rivers have a go at him before. I didn't want to just mess with their battle like that. So I gave Rivers a chance, and then when he slipped up, I got by him. But yeah, Trevor was still hard to pass. I had to wait till he made a mistake out of the out of the hairpin and then take advantage of that. But either way, I'm surprised that I got third out of this race. But yeah, it was still a really fun time.
This race, it was course green the entire way through. What is kind of your mindset when you transition from ovals to road courses where you know you're not going to get a caution and it's pretty much all about being consistent?
I mean, it just a lot slower pace, which I like. Um, with ovals, it's just you got to be so aggressive, and I like to think that I'm not very good at being aggressive, so that doesn't really go in my favor at all. But road courses I really like because I mean I sat behind Traber and Rivers that entire first run, and then it didn't hurt me at all, and it ended up helping me. Ended up getting third at the end, so I'm not great at road courses, especially in this truck, but I feel like the style of it really plays into my mindset when it comes to racing.
All right. Well, sponsor shout outs. Who gets done for that third place finishing double zero machine?
Uh, Shout out to Steven for getting second. Shout out to Justin for making this paint scheme a while ago. He still hasn't made me a new one, but yeah, about it.
All right. Well, congrats on the podium, and we'll see you next week at New Hampshire.
Yep.
All
Thank you,
right.
guys.
That was Jonathan Jersmeyer, third place finisher tonight.
And with that, I think it comes down to giving our final thoughts from this one. It was a one hell of a race between all of these drivers. Austin McGill, of course, with a fantastic run from the front of the field. And that battle between Jones, Burns, and Jersmeyer was just fantastic to watch for that entire race. Elbows out, but still respectful. And that's exactly the sort of road course racing I think you like to see. I really enjoyed watching that one.
Almost definitely. You know, I obviously I hate it for my buddy Michael Kruger and the issues he had. He was running so well, and you know, I talked about it earlier, and it is all about being consistent, making as little mistakes as possible, and you know, sometimes little mistakes you can still get by, but big mistakes like we saw there through Kruger, that really hurt him, and obviously was not able to finish the race because of that. On the other hand, Austin McGill, I don't think he knows what the word mistake is. He did incredible right from the drop of the green flag, and what a race for McGill. You know, it's hard to come into a race when into a league where you haven't raced in a while and put on a great performance. And I feel like McGill, whenever he comes in here, he doesn't always win, but he's one to you definitely have to watch out for, no matter if it's a short track like Martinsville, which he has won before, or a road course like Sonoma coming into tonight. Great win by McGill, and yeah, I think this was classic BSR race on a road course.
Yeah, Austin McGill, of course. Kind of a little meaning behind that win, and what a way to send that love over with a fantastic lights flag performance. This is going to be all from us for tonight, though. Thank you for joining us on JCTV for the BSR AMSOIL Truck Series. Coming up, of course, we have New Hampshire this time next week, same time, same place. But before that, I believe we've got an MX5 race on Monday night, Josh.
Yeah, Monday night, our friend Nick Dornick is hosting an event. It's going to be the NX5s at Daytona, two 25-minute races. with an invert for the second race. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun to watch in person at Daytona, and I think it's going to be no different in iRacing. So tune into that one Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I'm going to call that must-see TV. I'm very excited to see how they all get on there. Of course, we have Road and Plate as well. Thursday night, the Chicago Street Course this week. That's going to be another fun one to watch. And then back here for the start of the mid-season tournament bracket at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. All that coming up in the next 7 days. But for now, from Josh Coppenall and from myself, Olivia Hayde will say thank you so much for watching and have a great night.